Hi people, today we are working on Home Finance Lesson 2. This is mortgages, specifically amortization schedules. So reminder, a mortgage is a special loan for a house or a home, and an amortization schedule is kind of like a bit of a chart that shows you how much you pay, how much you're paying in interest, how much you're actually paying on the loan, how much you've paid so far, and what you still owe. And we do it for a couple months. Your bank, when you actually do get a mortgage, they will often send you something like this so that they show you where your money is going and how much you still owe and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to try and do this, and we're going to use some of the formulas that I showed you the other day. We'll just see how it goes. So, and then it'll get pretty repetitive once we keep going. Write a mortgage schedule or amortization schedule for the first 3 months given a purchase price of $105,000 with a mortgage of $85,000 and a $20,000 down payment at 6% over 20 years. So we need to borrow $85,000 and we have already paid $20,000. First step I probably need to do is figure out what is our monthly payment going to be. So I'm just going to do that down here at the bottom just for more space. So monthly payment. This is just like what we did in vehicle finance. We take how much we're going to borrow, which is $85,000, divide it by 1,000, and then we have to multiply it by the number off the chart at the back of our book. So 6% over 20 years. I happen to have another booklet. Let's see. 20 years, 6%, 7.12. So that's the number we're going to multiply by right there. 7.12 because 20 years, 6%. Go back to my other here. $7.12. And check that in our calculators real quick. All right, so every month we have to pay $605.20. All right, let's try and fill this thing out, and we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna have to use our calculators a lot on this one, but once we get the first line done, you'll see the second lines and the third line. It's just repetition. It's the exact same thing over and over again. Okay, so kind of before we get started paying on this mortgage, we're going to pay our down payment. So that's going to be our equity, $20,000. Right away we pay that, and I owe them $85,000 still. And together that adds up to what the house actually costs. All right. Monthly payment, we just calculated that, $605.20. I suggest you use a pencil for this because just in case you make a mistake, unfortunately, you make one mistake here, all the other things are going to be wrong. So it's not super fun to mark, and it's not super fun to do because each value kind of relies on the next one. Now that monthly payment is going to be the exact same no matter what month you're in. So it's going to be the same for month 2 and for end of month 3 as well. So let's throw that in there right now, just so we don't think like, oh shoot, what is that again? All right. Now, out of that $600, some of that will go to interest, and some of it will actually go to helping you pay off your loan. So here's my little formula I'm going to use: unpaid times 0.06, and that totally just depends on the question. This case it's 6%, so I put 0.06. We divide it by 12 months. Oh, there's my dog barking. He heard something. So right now my unpaid is $85,000. I'm going to times it by 0.06 and then divide by 12. Whoops. I got $425. Hopefully you got the same thing. Now that's nuts because $425 out of my $600 goes towards interest. That's like pure profit for the bank. That's nuts. Now the principal is whatever's left out of that, like whatever's left out of the 600. So we're going to take our monthly and we're going to subtract interest payment, PMT payment. So 605.2 minus 425. And I got $180.20. I do need a dollar sign on every value here because everything's in dollars. So that's going to be a lot of dollar signs we're going to do here. Alright. Now, I had $20,000 in equity, but I paid another $180 towards this loan. So now I have a little bit more equity. I'm going to add these two things together to find my new equity. So equity plus principal payment. All right, so $20,180.20. So I just added those two things together. And now I did owe $85,000, but I made a little payment, so we're going to subtract, and I'll owe them a little bit less, which is great. So we're going to go unpaid minus principal payment. Because now I don't owe them that anymore. So 85 minus 180, just 85,000. Okay, so a little bit less. I still owe them $84,819.80. And we're done our first month. So at the end of the first month, I still owe them this. This is how much I kind of have invested in the house. That's how much I paid. That was just interest to the bank, and that's my actual payment on my actual loan. Now we're going to do the exact same steps over here, so I'm not going to write down the steps every time. I'm just going to write down the values now. But when we do this and we're looking for values, we're going to look at this line because this is the newest information we have. We're not going to go back to the beginning again. We're going to go from here, okay? So to get my interest payment, I'm going to take my unpaid, which is this value over here, times 0.06 and then divide by 12. So it's actually handy that I still have this up on my calculator. Okay, so this time it's $424. I do have to round here 10 cents. So interest went down just a tiny bit, and I'm going to make a tiny bit more in principal, which is, I'm not mad about that. So we take our monthly payment, which is still $605. And we're going to subtract our interest, which is right here. So this one minus this one. So 605.2 minus 424.1. $181.10. So now we paid the same amount. Like the same amount came out of our checking account. Most of it still went to interest. A little bit went towards actually paying off the loan. But it's a little bit less towards interest and a little bit more towards principal. And every month that's how it's going to happen. A little bit more and more and more towards principal. Okay, equity. This was my previous equity, and then I paid a little bit more, so we're going to add to find our new equity. Now my new equity is $20,361.30. So it's going up, which it should because I'm making payments. And then my unpaid is going to go down a little bit. This was how much I owe them, but I paid that, so I'm going to owe them a little bit less. This is where I struggle because I need to keep my writing neat enough that I can read it, but it doesn't usually work out that well for me. My writing is terrible. So I owe them just a little bit less. Now we're going to do the exact same thing one more time, and then we'll be done this amortization chart. So, unpaid. So this times 0.06 divided by 12. Now it's nice to have a chart like this on your study sheet. This certainly could come up on a assessment, like an exam. But you notice that my dog's barking. You'll notice that once you have kind of, you get the feeling for one line, it's exactly the same every single time. And it's nice if you can kind of see the trends a little bit, so that way you're going in the right direction. Or if you've made some kind of silly mistake, like you've added instead of subtracted or something like that. almost done right here. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the trends real quick. Monthly payment, that stays the same every month, right? Should be the exact same every month. Your interest rate goes down just a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit every month. Your principal payment, that goes up. I don't know what he wants because he's been out like 15 times today, but he's mad at me. Equity, that's how much we own in the house, so that should be going up over time, and how much we still owe them going down over time. So it's good to know these trends, just so you're like, oh shoot, did I accidentally add instead of subtract? Am I going the right way here? Because it is a lot of things to keep straight, isn't it? But other than that, we're done. Give this a shot on your own and let's see how it goes.